Okay, we are looking at interactions with in between populations, and now we last one we looked at was predator prey. I don't want you to get predator and prey confused with different types of symbiosis. These are long-lasting relationships. Predator prey is not long-lasting. One dies really fast, involving two different species. Mutualism is where organism one and organism two benefit. Example of this would be flower pollination. It relies on, it recruits insects, bats, okay, would be the primary pollinators, and of course birds as well, okay? So the birds are going to benefit. They're going to get nectar, and the flower is going to benefit because it's going to be able to sexually reproduce. So both organisms, the flower and the pollinator, benefit. Commensalism is when one benefits and the other one remains unharmed. Now, example of this would be a nest in a tree. The bird benefits, but it has no effect on the tree, as far as I know. Okay. Parasitism is where one benefits and one is harmed, but not killed. This is not predator prey. Okay. So intestinal worms um, would be an example where the person that the worm is going to harm. Sorry, we're going to do this again. The worm is going to benefit, but the human, Mr. Human, is harmed. The worm is the parasite, and we have a name for the organism that's harmed. It's the host. Now, you have to, these are fairly simple, but it's when we now do a threesome, there's three organisms, and you got to figure out which one's which. Is it the parasite? Is it mutualistic or commensalistic? Okay, watch this little video on this worm. Pinworm, very common. Little boy is itching his bum, sticks his finger in his mouth, or they play rough and tumble at the school, and the 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 eggs get into the intestinal tract. At nighttime, they migrate to the anus, and they lay the eggs, and it makes the kids finger itch, the bum itch even more. Beautiful. Okay, so positive, negative. Yeah, okay. Happens with little kids. Somebody else has watched this video. It's really awesome. And watch these. These are really great, great videos. And you have to watch The Lyrebird. Okay. This is in Australia. We used to camp with these up in the Blue Mountains. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, and watch the mimicry one a bit later on. Okay, defense mechanisms. Camouflage. Blending in. Yeah, can you see the lizard? Biochemical, bitter tasting. Monarchs eat milkweed, and it's an alkaloid toxin, so birds don't want to eat them. Armor. Yeah. Warning. These are poison arrow dart frogs in Costa Rica. You lick them. It's a neurotoxin. Okay, it will paralyze your mouth. Okay, so very bright coloration. Okay, so it's going to say, "Don't eat me." Oops. Okay, mimicry, developing a similar color pattern and shape and behavior. Now, there's two types. Batesian, it's a trick. Can you see the trick? This is a moth, the larva, and that's the real thing. Yikes. I think this is it's like a, I don't know. Oh, it's like a worm, right? It's a larva eating a leaf. Now, malaria and both are harmful, but and both look similar. Now, monarchs and viceroys are they look similar, okay? And the benefit of that is then the birds will say, okay, they have to be both poisonous. So Malarian mimicry. Now, there was a little video on the previous slide. I really want you to watch that just to review the different types of mimicry. Primary succession. Okay, so explain how mixtures of populations that define communities may change over time or remain as a climax community. Now, so primary succession begins when there is no soil present. So lichens produce acidic compounds that break down rock and release nutrients from the rock, and soil begins. The lichens are joined by tiny plants such as mosses, insects, and other small animals settle around. Okay, the soil begins to form cracks where moisture can gain a foothold, and this is going to allow little bushes to grow. Soil holds more water. Okay, we're going to get humus, so richer soil, and this is going to attract forests. Okay, and one species gradually replaces another. Pioneer species are outcompeted, cannot survive in shadier, wetter conditions, replaced by taller trees and shrubs. So if I'm Mr. Sunshine here, these these communities right here, these stages right up here of a pioneer community would be very extreme, subject to drying out, subject to intense solar radiation. Now the sun is here, and we're going to get a lot of shade, and the shade is going to hold more moisture. So this is going to affect the abiotic characteristics of this. And oh, if this community doesn't change for a very, very long time, is characterized by, say, beeches and maples, we call that a climax community. The Edmonton River Valley is a climax community, okay? Now, the question I want you to think about is, begins where there's no soil present. So this would be glaciation, okay? Glaciation would be example of where there is no soil present. Can you think of others? Hawaii, okay, because of a volcanic activity, okay? That would be another example of no soil present, okay? Bare rock, lichens, small grasses. Yeah. Now, obviously, this is all the abiotic. You want to start thinking about the different animals that might be attracted to this too. And that's what we mean by lichen. It's breaking down this rock because it releases acids. Okay, and then water gets in here. And when water expands, as you well know, I put ice cubes or ice water in ice trays in the fridge, and that's going to expand. It creates a wedge, and this causes cracks, and that cracks eventually produces soil. Okay, this is my old hometown in the Northwest Territories, Pine Point. Okay, it's about 800 miles north of Edmonton. I lived right there. That was my house right there. Okay, I went back about 10 years ago. Okay, they took all the houses out of Pine Point, but they left the roads. Check out what's happening here. This would be like primary succession. The road. There's no soil. What's starting to break through all the cracks? You're getting actually trees, all of these cracks. You can see that in any cracked area. So that was Pine Point closes about 30 something years ago, and that's what looks like fairly recently. Okay, I'm gonna have a little cry. Oh. Okay, primary secondary succession. This is recolonization of an area that already had soil. Okay, so the most common here is forest fires. Okay, forest fires. They burn an area down, and we've got actually all this rich soil, and we get these pioneer species like fireweed coming in. Okay, yeah, watch the video. Why not? Okay, the other thing I just want to quickly say here is eventually it'll return to a climax community. Now, there's a misunderstanding of climax communities. Where most biodiversity takes place is actually in these middle stages. and they're called cirral, middle cirral stages. This is where most biodiversity occurs. Okay. Um, just imagine if I'm a little wabbit. Okay, if my little wabbit. Okay, I'm going to be attracted here because of all the little shrubbies and all that kind of stuff. And there's shelter. That's good. This is going to attract Mr. Fox. Okay, yeah. So more of this stuff happens here. Deer obviously are more attracted to this. They might go in here to hide later on at night, but they're more attracted to areas where there's more shrubs and stuff for them to eat.